What would have happened to me had I, the very next day and every day since, come to work and drawn something with my pastels in the parking lot? Like, hello, girlfriend would have definitely been fired. As far as the beginning here, it can be summed up with just the dramatic and ridiculous double standards they hold you to. Micromanaging every little thing you do, but making jokes on the walkie when they've been talked to about it over and over and over again. And by the way, I love to have fun at work, but we're not invited to join along. And there is a time and a place, which they would say if it were you starting a joke on the walkie, of course. On my last day of work, I finally got it on tape. They went for a full 2.5 minutes, talking about which one of them should be on the cover of Time magazine. But they can make jokes on the walkie, which actually has repercussions. It's like, there's like people need to talk to each other just for basic stuff. But then imagine that there's like spill on the floor, safety thing, kids lost, but everybody's like trying to wait for them to stop talking about fantasy football jokes. It's like, bro. So, hey, be a leader. I really pisses me off when they insist that we use their language. Controlling language is historically very oppressive. So to control our language and say, they're your leaders, not your bosses. No, actually, they're our bosses, because that's what a word is that it relates to a concept, and it's like they boss us. They don't lead us, so they're bosses. Sorry, you can call it whatever you want, but that ain't changing what they are. Pisses me off. Arf. Okay, so back to the top. I'm skipping around a little bit. Also, so anyway, back to Asperger's. The primary thing for me that not the primary thing about it, but just kind of like a very fundamental part of my personality related to this is the fact that I zone out. And honestly, it's kind of like an endearing thing for most of my friends. It's funny. It's always been I like to be teased about, I like joking, I like roasting. And my friends always it's been a funny thing where you can talk about me literally right next to me and I won't notice, and then until they're laughing and I'm like, what's funny? And they're like, we're talking about you. And it's like, oh, ha, and so it's like, oh yeah, I'm not listening to your stupid fucking walkie because it's irritating. And you make jokes on it. And honestly, I don't care, because we're getting to the next point. They already hold me to a different standard. Do you think I'm trying to run around and be like, I've got to impress a leader who already ignores everything I do? I've already noticed by now that they don't give a fuck what you do, only if you kiss their ass. So what do I care? Fuck off, Sorry, no offense to the people who actually do go back up, but good for you. I think a lot of people actually enjoy backing up. And that's the other point too, is why don't you just get to know your team and know what some people are slacking here, so maybe they can make up for it over here. Or maybe this person gets stressed out by it, but this person really enjoys it. It's like if you just get to know your team, whatever. They don't care to, because that's what we're getting to. They're just toxic as fuck. In a very by the book way, here's the, if you're going to the DSM manual for, a diagnosis for mental health, it would be okay, check off the boxes, put a 1 through 3 for everything. It's oh my God, wow, this fits exactly. No wonder I've been so what the hell is going on? Okay, so it comes down to the same thing. See, when I was growing up, I'm not averse to talking about it at all. I'm just trying to stay on topic. But here, I'll just read this part. Growing up, I was treated differently from my sister. While I wasn't directly mistreated for being queer, I was less favored for not holding characteristics that were typical of girls. Being sweet, clean, maternal, submissive, pretty, feminine, etc. I should leave you a list of childhood photos because they're hilarious, honestly. and ultimately came down to the same thing. Similarly, at work, I feel discriminated against for my neurodivergence because I naturally tune out the world, am not extroverted, and carry myself in an authentic way that may seem childlike, whereas to me seems disingenuous. Thank you very much. I would rather everybody be a little too much and a little too crazy and be real and honest and full of integrity than, hey everybody, and then totally just, walking like this. Resting bitch face. No, that was fierce face, right? But so just kind of like this glary, let me size you up. Ugh, gross. Those people are disgusting. I just and the fact that that's what they look for. Are you phony? Perfect. Disgusting. Okay, so HR made my situation with a certain coworker who I'm not going to name, but it probably is obvious, much, 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 much worse. Ridiculous. Honestly, I should tell that story, but I won't. Okay. It's in here, though. So I say, blah, 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 blah. These are the big issues. I'm trying to start with the hard hitters. Yo, boom. Aside from the obviously big things, which, y'all, and if they're going to ignore that, they're pieces of poo-poo. And I said, check the tape. Roll the tape, baby, because he hesitated and it was obvious. If you work in the early morning and you are running behind the mob of people that go in, they see you approaching and they lock the door and turn away and make you wait at the door, despite the fact that there are countless instances of quote-unquote shady characters in the parking lot and a number of stories I could tell you. This has been a problem with more than one lead, and it has happened many, 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 many times. I think you can tell. Especially, he's like, oh, that's a shady thing to do. I'm going to do it anyway. Everybody has to play by the rules, even bosses, and we don't tolerate any kind of harassment. And we love talking about Target. It's so great here. And don't dare talk about us, if it's not good. And then maybe I'll just make my point about that right now, because y'all might have already tuned me out. Or you're about to, because if you have, it doesn't matter. But if you're about to, I do not expect this bitch to listen to me. Let me tell you how this conversation started. I was a defensive move. I wrote integrity. If this guy messes with me, I called it, he's shady. Not really integrity hotline to look into anything. Just kind of yo, if y'all say, why didn't you come forward? It's I did, bitch. So I don't remember what happened, but I said, I'll, bring a follow-up email later, and I just was not getting around to it. And then integrity hotline sends me so many emails hey, I'd love to hear the details. We take all of these concerns very seriously, integrity hotline. She sent me several emails trying to follow up, and I'm like, girl, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I don't want to think about work anymore. I mean, I do, whatever. That's the loop I'm caught in, right? I obsess over it. I want to come home. I want to wind down. But I'm so fed up, and I feel like I need to fight this. So then but I obsess so much that it's so hard to edit, and it's just it's so crazy. I even amazes me. I really can't even tell you how not funny. So, forgot my point. Dang it. I'll just get back to this. Oh, duh. Sorry, I'm so stupid sometimes. I just have so many things going on in my head. Okay, so integrity hotline. Very eager to talk to me, and I said, fine. Honestly, I am going so crazy with this that maybe it would be better just to have a conversation, and that way there's a deadline, and I have to stick by it, right? So we set a time to talk, And then I say, just so you know, I'm recording this because I still want it to be on record. Integrity hotline. He shuts me down real quick. It's like, oh, I do not consent to that. Actually, I'm going to end the conversation right now. And I think, you know what? Of course, the integrity hotline is so very well aware of integrity hotline boundaries, right? And setting, like, oh, God forbid that we ask you to be held accountable for what you say. But with us, and maybe like who knows how many dozens of like team members talk about toxic environments, it's just like, oh, shucks, you know, like their word against yours. It's just kind of like, fuck our boundaries, right? Like, and that is what I've been doing this whole time. That is it, setting a boundary. I have not been, it's not like I'm just like, yes sir, love you, and then going and then talking shit. Like, I'm telling them everything, you know, like every opinion I have, every idea, every complaint, everything, I am very vocal about it to everybody. Like, it's ridiculous. A year in, I'm the fucking moron at this point who is like didn't clue in earlier. Like, I did clue in, but it's just like, we'll get into that too, how they prey on the people with the self-doubt and the guilt. Girl, bullshit. Okay, so, oh right, I keep forgetting that I still had a separate point, because I was gonna end that with the email with integrity hotline, but I think I'll tell y'all now just so we're all on the same page. Okay, I don't expect integrity hotline. I expect to be just like the rest of them, you know, and sweep it under the rug, and I don't care as long as my job is easier, right? So, but now I have the receipts, right? And that's why I'm making the YouTube, so that I can take it to the public and say, hey y'all, look what I wrote. 36-page document. Hold on. Yeah, let's get the no reflection going on. Here's my, oh, gosh darn it. There you go. 36-page freaking document. Well, I mean, you can't see that. I'm not going to scroll right now because I don't want to lose my spot. Hi, I'm over here behind the camera. Beep, beep, beep. So, and just to get the heck out of there. Anyway, so I don't expect integrity hotline to do anything. In fact, I expect integrity hotline to be annoying, and that's good because it'll be more fun that way. So, they have, so, sorry, I'm so scattered. When I'm like, the conduct guide or the social media policy says, like, you know, we want to be in charge of communication, okay? We don't want any untrue statements. Well, that's how I know I can go to the public without any retaliation, technically, right? Because it's all true. This is my account, and it is true, and it is true that I'm reaching out. Integrity hotline. And it is true that they're handling it in said way that they're handling it, you know? I mean, ideally, I would just like them to listen, but it's bigger than our store, and that's the other point I'm going to get to, too. Like everybody keeps saying, this is the best we can hope for. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is not the standard I want to accept. Can we at least demand some kind of at least positive environment? We're getting paid, and that makes sense. And if you've watched Frank and Gracie, which I love that show, she like sells her product and she's like, oh no, they use palm oil. And then she goes in with this demonstration with blood, and I was like, you know, and then the daughter is like, you know, you gotta talk their language. They're corporate boo-boo heads and they like numbers. And that's what I've been saying this whole time. It doesn't even make sense because it's not smart. It's like if you're playing chess and you play all of your kings and queens and then like keep your pawns. Oh, stupid. Oh my God, is that the reason? I swear, like learning all this stuff, I'm like, is that where that folklore comes from? No wonder there's so many things. Zombies, vampires, werewolves, so common for this thing of just a normal person who gets afflicted and now they're evil too. Anyway, here I go rambling again. Shh. That's my drink water reminder. Okay. They hold us to different standards. I don't even want to get into that because it irritates me so much and it's so obvious and it's so irritating and there's so many layers to it and it's just like, oh my God. And the way they have, oh my God, the way they have screwed me around with the lies about ours, and everybody has a different story and everything is some ridiculous excuse that doesn't make sense, and then you call them out on it and then they just shrug their shoulders and walk away. It is so ridiculous. And the thing is that's the thing, is that they know that that's the thing I want, so they mess with you. So it's like, I think everybody has kind of a different situation at work, It's so widespread. Okay, so they suck, they suck, they suck, they suck, blah, blah, blah. Here's all the reasons, blah, blah, blah. They suck, they suck. And I said, by the way, I don't bring this up to get Boo-Boo Head in trouble. Boo-Boo Head meaning the team member who I had the altercation with. I don't want to endanger anyone's livelihood in the way that my leadership is so reckless with mine. I want leadership to do their jobs and lead by to lead by example, as their title suggests. Okay. Emotions turn us into different people. Pavlov's dog. Even if you want to go in, you've got negative associations. It's terrible, right? I'm trying to really drive home the psychology of people here. And why it's kind of like, duh. You know, why do you even defend these people? It's not smart money. What I don't understand is why Target is not concerned with employee complaints that obviously reflect a toxic culture. It is a win-win. Actually, it's a win-win-win. Guests, team members, company, right? To be concerned about employee morale. What century are we in that we haven't learned that by now? First of all, we are also the guest, and I don't know why we all forget that. We are shopping before and after work and on our breaks and on our days off. Our family and friends and neighbors come to the store. We are the same community we are serving. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful. Happy employees are more productive, are more authentically eager to please, and are more loyal and less likely to quit. Internally motivated employees will still work hard, ... until they find a new job. People with pride won't stick around. Disgruntled employees are dangerous because they will spread negative word of mouth, steal, breach data, and may actually want Target to get a lawsuit. I'm substantiating all this with references in a stupid, very haphazard way. But honestly, I don't care. Oh, and then I said, hey, this is not just our store, this is widespread. And if you want to look at here, my favorite message board complaint from Target team member, I used to live and breathe Target. Now my mentality is, fuck the bullseye. But I replaced the fuck with special characters so that it was still integrity appropriate. Integrity. The key to happy customers, happy employees, duh. These are just, I went article. Excuse me. Regarding this last reference, the fact that low morale adds to an increase in theft isn't the point I want to make, although it doesn't hurt to mention. Okay, so there is a thing that says it's all about opportunity. If you can tolerate hanging in there with me, thank you so much. If you are, you're the best. Love you. Okay. Regarding this last reference, the fact that low morale adds to an increase in theft isn't the point I want to make, although it doesn't hurt to mention. Just like Target doesn't trust us, as they obviously shouldn't, because people are opportunistic, that's parentheses, they shouldn't inherently trust management either. During my orientation, they spent the majority of the time, this is a different store, talking about employees being the #1 cause of shrink and how effective their asset protection team is. My first impression of Target was,
don't steal. Yo, we watching you. Duh, we can see you. We're always watching you. Don't steal.
Data backs that up. I respect that, but this does illuminate the fundamental flaw in the system. Everything comes down to the integrity of one person, the store manager. Integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, or the state of being whole and undivided. Take whichever one you want, they're both good. Okay, you know, I am going to sit down after all. I forgot that that's where my microphone was attached to. Oh, I can't look at a chair. Okay, hold on. Just like theft being primarily opportunistic, so is taking advantage of a leadership role. Some people, regardless of their discontent or satisfaction, don't hold a value system and are not averse to exploiting what they can get away with. How many scandals have been uncovered because we trusted that it was safe and or It was swept under the rug, and there wasn't designed a system to prevent it. Now that people are wise and don't allow teachers to be alone with students or have physical contact with them and are making sure there are systems in place to prevent child abuse, wouldn't your red flags go up if you went somewhere that was saying, we don't do that, but don't worry. We hire the nicest people and we trust them, so you should too, you know? Or, hold on, this one's even better. Am I too low if I sit here? Oh, okay. Good microphone, you stay there. Okay, hello. I'm not going to get distracted by topics I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about that one day, okay? You don't even know what I'm saying, but in my head there's a topic idea. Okay. Doctors have our lives in their hands, so they take the Hippocratic Oath and vow to do no harm, but they still need malpractice insurance and 2 people in the room. The hospital doesn't just say, don't worry, he took the oath, right? Okay. Some people with mental health struggles have boundaries they need to set, and when you tell leadership, they should fucking respect it. I didn't say fuck, but I am right now. That's part of what taking responsibility for mental health looks like. Knowing your triggers and coming up with strategies to avoid them and to decompress when they can't be avoided. But instead, they use the information gained against you to gain control over you. Like, for example, like I was saying with the hours thing. Literally in tears in their office saying, I just found out somebody makes 40 hours. You said this whole time everybody makes basically the same, or for whatever dumb reason they made up. And then I find out somebody who, not according to what bullshit they had said, does routinely get more hours than me. And I'm like, not for quality of work. I can say that objectively. And it's not because I'm better, just like I'm not worse. And it's like, same seniority level is just kind of like, what? And I'm like literally crying because that, I don't understand. Like, and that's triggering as fuck to me, right? I don't want to get distracted by that. My lights look so pretty outside. Okay. But just, it's triggering as fuck, you know? It's kind of like, this defines my life. Authority that takes advantage of, authority that demands respect just for the sake of authority is like, not just a trigger. That's the definition of my identity, you know? And then valuing leadership that takes it seriously. Also, it's like, that's my 180 flip, right? I really never had structure. I never had validation or support. So when I get that, it's like, so it's heaven. And I love like a really strict, rigid, structured work environment that's healthy, and it's like in a good way, right? The same way that parents like need to set boundaries and they need to, you know, be strict in the way of like adhering to the rules that they set. That's good, right? And that doesn't mean it's not fun. It means that you can trust it and that it's predictable and that it's fair, you know? So when I'm in a healthy work environment, that's like heaven to me. That's what I needed in my life. It's what I need, you know. I really, really respond to it. It means a lot to me. And then, but on the flip, right? When somebody demands respect but doesn't earn it and like exploits their role, again, it's not just a trigger. It's literally like my entire identity. And if we'll get to, we won't get to it actually. If you want to tune in for my other episode where I talk about my journey in life and universe and how this is my destiny, cool. But for now, just trust that it is. Okay. I recognize no one is responsible for my mental health but me. My entire salvation from depression and chronic feelings of worthlessness has been won by developing an intrinsic sense of pride in the work I do and what I put my name on and what transferable skills I can gain. I do place value in myself and I do not need or want their approval, but what bothers me is the fact that I stress from money and there is no formula to achieve the financial security. I understand how to manage my triggers in a workplace that functions fairly. I cannot operate in a workplace that holds me to a double standard or attempts to exploit me. It isn't about approval, but even confident people are not infallible to constant invalidation and disregard. And there is no reason to not expect the uplifting, stress-free, and positive workplace that you know can and does exist. The reward of financial security should be used strategically to those who have earned it. That is literally the one thing that they have that they can use to motivate people is the obvious thing. Like, and the fact that they give me such a fucking runaround, it's like, for a long time, they can't be that stupid, right? No, I don't think they're that stupid. They just don't care. It's like depressing. Okay. Thank you to my friend K-Dog who gave me this. It's very helpful. So there's some neurodivergent terminology that I'm going to talk about now. Are my eyelashes going crazy? Hold on. I gotta check that out. I'm back. Is this awkward down here? It's too bad because I like to sit maybe for a little bit and then I'll get up again. Okay. Fork theory and spoon theory. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to say it. Actually, I'll read fork theory because it's good. I like her thing. But spoon theory is like energy, like you run out of energy, so you have a limited number of spoons. That works for me in social situations. Again, the whole reason I don't like to back up. It's not even that. I actually really enjoy talking to people and customers, but it's just kind of like, I can only do a few, and then it's kind of like, oh my God, it's just so weird, and it kind of will feel instant where you just suddenly just drained and you're just like shut down and go away, you know? So anyway, but that's not relevant to me. But it can be relevant to people, period. But, and that's the point. Get to know your fucking people. But, like I'm gonna get to it. I don't need to say it. Fork theory. You know the phrase, stick a fork in me, I'm done, right? This is a reference, by the way. So, shout out to neurodiverging.com. Spoons and forks, autism and fatigue. You know the phrase, stick a fork in me, I'm done, right? Well, fork theory is that one has a fork limit. That is, you can probably cope okay with one fork stuck in you, maybe 2 or 3. But at some point you will lose it if one more fork happens. A fork could range from being hungry or having to pee to getting a new bill or a new diagnosis of illness. There are lots of different sizes of forks, and volume versus quantity means that the fork limit is not absolute. I might be able to deal with 20 tiny little escargot fork annoyances, such as a hangnail or slightly suboptimal pants. That's funny, because I'm very sensitive about my pants. But, well, I lost my place. But no, this is the, see, yes, girlfriend, hallelujah. But not even one you poked my trigger on purpose because you think it's fun to see me melt down. Pitchfork. Pitchfork. Girl, that's what I'm saying. It's A, a pitchfork. And B, I've been asking them and talking to them and begging them, what, please, excuse me, explain the fork. Explain the pitchfork. Can you see my arm? Am I just being crazy? Explain the pitchfork here. Where I'm trying to make sure I'm in camera. Do. Here's my fork. Here's my giant pitchfork, bitch. And please explain it to me. Do something. Like, what is happening, right? And it just stays there. So now it's infected. It was already huge to begin with. Now it's infected. Now it's nasty. Now that's why I walk around so motherfucking angry. You blow on that shit. And hey, girl, this is what I was saying earlier. If you guys, or if whoever, if you're not mentally unhealthy or whatever and you're solid, good, congratulations. It's really frustrating when people are like, well, I am like this, so you must be like this too. It's like, okay, anyway. In a healthy workspace, you don't have to bring up your mental health because you are in a place where you can control your life and triggers by working your hardest and letting your work speak for itself, which is all I've ever wanted it to do. When you go above and beyond in a healthy workplace, your needs are eagerly met and any forks are addressed and removed. In my experience, people celebrate and rave about their great leaders. They are not inherently resentful of authority, but actually thrive in a well-structured, transparent system that they respect. Some of the leaders I have had were almost treated like celebrities. No doubt this one, Donna, people, I'm going to write a play about her. Have you met Donna? Donna's so awesome. Like, seriously, like, it was like, they love her. I love her. Everybody loves her. I love all of these people that I'm about to name because I want them to have names because I'm like, oh, I'm not just pulling this out of my ass, right? They were popular and admired and constantly spoken about. Just for the sake of illustration, they were Ed from Maria's, and I even forgot there was actually 2 Eds, which is funny. Ed from Pizza Hut, one of my first jobs. He was so dope. Lovato from Hyatt, Adrian from Los Poblanos, Jasmine and Charles from The Standard, and Donna from The Range. All of whom were strict and intimidating, but smart, equitable, and compassionate. What is the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation? Intrinsic motivation involves performing a task because it's personally rewarding or beneficial to you. Extrinsic motivation involves completing a task or exhibiting a behavior because of outside causes such as avoiding punishment or receiving a reward. Target functions exclusively on extrinsic motivation but has no reward system in place to actually employ it, inherently creating a more than likely toxic culture. A more than likely toxic culture that lures in certain personality types and creating the expectation of, that's just retail. Did you get my quotey quotes? That's just retail. Okay. I mean, they're intrinsically motivated to do what's beneficial for them. That's the point. They are already getting paid. What do they care? Like, there's no reason to actually personally care to be there. It's not like, unless you really care about consumers at Target, like, it's not high stakes, you know, like, oh my God, they didn't find their toothpaste. It's like, so why workplace bullies get away with it? Well, they're often high performers, you know, so they're like, dude, they're dope. I'm not gonna fucking fire this guy. It's too much work. Sweep it under the rug. But that's my point. This is a win-win-win for you to care about your employees. Like, it doesn't make sense for them to play their dumb games. Like, turnover is expensive, right? The guest doesn't want dummies who just started and they're like, I don't know, and they're all nervous. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, obviously you add value the longer you're there. Just by sheer, like, even if I wasn't awesome when I first started, it's like, I know the pharmacy so well by now, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid for them to just play stupid fucking games, you know? Oh yeah, I forgot that. Dang it, see, there are good points back here that I was skipping over, but with terms of the hours, the way they do it, it's like, oh yeah, also, sorry, there were good nuggets in here. When I'm talking about HR and my person who's a boogerhead, and now they made it worse for me because they insist on being involved. Like, that's the thing. They're like, we want to be involved in everything. If you're going to talk to a coworker, we want to know what happened, okay? That way we can fuck with you and make it harder. Like, oh my God. I'm mad about it. I would love to talk about it, but I'm not going to bring up said coworker because, like, whatever. Okay. Before I move on, it is important to talk about PTSD, CPTSD. If someone has experienced trauma, there may be people or places or objects or experiences that in and of themselves are not necessarily threatening, but trigger a memory or an emotional response that induces fear, anger, anxiety, and or panic. My friend and former team member recently put in notice because he spilled something, and the lead told him he had better clean it up or she would beat him up. He went and was told to lighten up, which was outrageous. I am not speaking for him, and I do not know or represent his perspective, but a possible interpretation of these events is that a team member has experienced traumatic assault and suffers from PTSD. It isn't a matter of whether or not the lead was actually a threat, but that being talked to in such a way is triggering. It really should not matter what the reason is, because we should not have to divulge our most painful stories to justify being respected. Damn. All right. Then did we talk about the double standards? Because that was where my other golden nugget was. Because they treat us like it's a caste system. It resembles a caste system where instead of opportunities limited by birthright, they are... Oh, wait, hold on. Let me do the previous paragraph. How else is one supposed to interpret the rationale between who gets appointed business owner and effectively locked into a limited hour workload and who is scheduled with general GM hours? Why is the business owner ultimately held to a higher standard while those who are scheduled most are not held accountable for their work? If trucks range in size, how are workloads determined? If the distribution of boxes by department is not known and can vary widely, again, how are workloads determined? If people always call in sick and they move people around on the grid anyway, why are people locked into their workload? If there is apparently no conceivable way to schedule around workloads, why aren't there solutions to moving someone out of being a business owner? Why are you moved up to a business owner and then limited by its role? It resembles a caste system where instead of opportunities limited by birthright, they are limited by a leader's designation of you as business owner. I will go into more detail with this, but general GM team members have a very serious overstocking problem, and no matter how many times we discuss it with leadership, we are the ones held accountable because we are the business owners. In a 6-hour shift, team member A is expected to push freight. They avoid so much backstock an entire U-boat of product is left as overstock with no repercussions. Team member B is expected to clean up after team member A by finding the product, backstocking it, and auditing the confused system. Team member B is still expected to push equal amount of freight. Team member B is held accountable for the zone, the audit, the price changes, and extraneous details. Team member A is scheduled 40 hours. Team member B is scheduled 30 hours. On top of this, a leader most recently joined RX and personal care into one 8-hour shift for the weekend substitute, reducing the combined total by 4 hours, which would lead to rollover and bleed into our workload, further increasing the expectation and still not properly awarding the right fucking people. Can anyone explain how this is not exploitation? The action or act of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work. The only meaningful reward system the store has in place is to allot hours, and they distribute them in an unfair and dehumanizing way by treating us like departments/workloads instead of people with unique skills and values. Thank you very much. Amen. Okay, moving back on to where I started. I just didn't want to leave any of those golden nuggets out. To make sure we're hitting the spots, and if you are still here, you're the dopest. If you're not, you're still dope. Sorry. You know why? Because you're not one of them. Just kidding. Some of you are. Some of you might be. I'm just gonna edit that part out, okay? All right. It's not nice. I just mean, you know what? Let's not be negative. Let's not put people down is what I'm saying. Okay. Even though it kind of sounded like it was. But I just mean leadership sucks. Okay. Is he your superstar? Oh, I was back to bullies, right? Oh, like, it's not like it's not like they're doing good at their job. Like, you're accepting such a low standard. I'm so sleepy, guys. Okay. Alrighty. Is he your superstar? Is this your standard? Herein lies the problem. In Disney's Monsters, Inc., the electric grid for their world runs on fear from children, and yes, I'm referencing Disney. The standard is set according to who is scariest until the protagonist learns that laughter is exponentially more powerful. This is a highly relatable concept. You'll catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Right now, the standard is so low that the most you can expect, I'm so tired right now. Ugh, I'm over this. Is the sweetest vinegar versus the most bitter. Yeah, they haven't made a system that resembles honey. No, yeah, it's so terrible. I always say how obvious it should be. It's widely understood that positive reinforcement is more effective when training animals and children. I mean, why wouldn't complex adults not also perform better when a natural reinforcer equals a person works hard and does well, resulting in a better schedule, as opposed to the only thing left, which is not getting in trouble? Hello. Maslow's hierarchy in life suggests that we don't worry about the next levels on the pyramid until the first level's needs are met. If we don't feel safe, we don't care about esteem. And if our needs for financial security aren't met, we aren't going to be looking for approval. And if our own needs are not met, we aren't going to be eager to meet the needs of others, like guests. Blah, 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 reference, reference, reference. I feel like I've been arguing whether 1 + 1 = 2 or 3, and I'm like, yo, I promise it's 2. I don't know how to argue that shit if you don't understand fundamental concepts. But they don't listen or care when you talk to them. It is exhausting. I've been screaming into the void for so long, and I have become sour. But I think that speaks for itself. I had such a great attitude for a long time, and it has been steadily declining in relationship to management's attitude and lack of leadership. And at the very least, that is what I would like people to, like, if you don't want to complain, cool. Don't blame, that's the wrong word. Don't blame you. No. I don't blame you, but it's not like the way of like, oh, don't blame you, but like, I understand, you know what I mean? I'm not going to hold that against you. But I would love character references. Like, she really was. She was fun when she started. Now she's, like, mad all the time. But she works really hard anyway. Kind of like corroborate my story, basically. Like, yeah, guys, you're at least not transparent. You're at least dumb. If you were going to graph my attendance record and superimpose it on a timeline, it correlates with a consistent drop-off in motivation, aligning with key instances of hostility or unprofessionalism from management/AR. For a long time, I had 0 call-outs and was never late besides the ice storm and COVID testing. Without exception, I was early and clocked in within, and by ice storm I mean I was physically locked in. I even tried to get an Uber still. Then on August 4th, I started using all my sick days anytime I felt stressed, as literally the only reward there is to utilize the days off that I never would have otherwise used because of pride. But because now I need them, they affect me so much. I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here, like, all the time. A lot of times I just leave home early. Like, I don't even, like, call out. I go, and then I'm like, fuck this place. Every time I have called out besides COVID test and ice storm and left early was due to work stress. 100%. If not stress, just I don't care anymore. Just kind of like I would rather have a day off. Like, I would rather use my 6 hours, like my sick hours. I'd rather like take advantage of the one thing, the one cute little thing. Oh, they give you lots of sick hours. That's nice. Well, you need them. No wonder. Recently, I was introduced to the phrase, "What will make the boats go faster?" And I love it so much. It was conceived by an Olympian boat rower who makes all his decisions based on what will support his ultimate goals, i.e., what will make the boats go faster. Let me demonstrate what my thought process looks like using this framework. Boats equals self-esteem. Go faster equals get stronger. Be on time and do good work equals pride equals self-esteem. BPD/autism/CPTSD equals triggers exist equals chronic stress when triggered. Chronic stress equals poor emotional health, which equals poor physical health, which equals early death. Investment equals play by their rules equals loss of autonomy and voice equals loss of pride equals low self-esteem. I mean, there's one big kind of loop around to get into the self-esteem thing, right? Attendance only matters if they invest in you. I don't want to be invested in. Allowing an abusive partner, parent, boss, leader to control you equals worthlessness equals low self-esteem. Prioritizing mental health over attendance equals self-love equals self-esteem. Standing up for what is right equals pride equals self-esteem. Not living out of fear equals bravery equals self-esteem. Prioritizing internal validation over toxic validation equals self-love equals self-esteem. Fighting the egocentric, emotional vampires who will steal your light and cause you chronic stress equals pride equals self-love equals taking the power back equals self-esteem. Woo! Preach, thank you, mama. Okay. Pardon me to have followed that beautiful moment up with the ear twisty. The point I hope to bring home here is that while I cannot speak for everyone, I cannot imagine anyone is intrinsically motivated to put target in front of their own needs. Correct me if I am wrong, but I am under the impression that leaders are paid significantly more than the average team member, specifically to care more than we do about the success of Target. And to ensure the success of Target, it is leadership's job to literally lead the team by example. They are responsible for creating a culture that motivates team members to intrinsically care because they respect the company and feel a sense of pride in being part of it. Because we aren't being paid to care like they are, we need reasons outside of simply avoiding their hostility and condescension. Let me describe a small little instance between me and see what it would look like under the following frameworks. The boats equals my team, go faster equals the most productive, versus the boats equals my ego, go faster equals get bigger. Remember when I drew my little cute thing during the ice storm? Oh wait, that was not that. But still, it was also during the ice storm. I'm out of electricity, hot water, it's dark, it's cold, you know what I mean? Hello, not fun. But I was still having a great attitude because honestly I was feeling like the universe was telling me things and it was cool, right? But it was hard, you know? So anyway, I came in one day and I was getting coffee. I just don't have coffee at home. And I hadn't got there early for whatever reason, you know, because I'm getting ready in the bathroom at work, literally. And so I missed coffee time. I was clocking in, went to work, and I'm going to get a caffeine headache. And I'm tired, you know, I just want my fucking coffee. So I go upstairs to get coffee. And comes in and he sees me, and it's right after I've clocked in-ish, 8:15 or something. So he's like, are you on break already? All suspicious. And I start to explain the situation, and he cuts me the fuck off. Not interested. Nope, you're either on break or you aren't. And I'm like, wow, what a fucking dickhead. He knows it's the ice storm. He knows people are out of electricity. He can make a leap, you know, that maybe just listen to my story, you know what I mean? And girlfriend, it's not like I do this all the time. I do now. I honestly don't give a fuck. I take my sweet ass time. Here's the other thing too. They really like to micromanage your minute by minute and just look productive. But even if you're obviously being the slowest, most inefficient person in the world and doing a terrible work, they don't fucking care. As long as you appear to be busy, which is just insane that they just, why even care at all? Why even, if you don't care about your job and you don't care about things running smoother, what do you even fucking care if people look busy just because you're an asshole? People must be so annoying. Even if I take 20 fucking minutes to actually clock in and get downstairs, if I have 10 times more efficient, if overall the work that I do is more efficient, who fucking cares? They don't look at the bigger picture. They're obnoxious as fuck. Anyway, here we go. A dependable worker is going through a difficult life circumstance and has a headache equals treat her with compassion because this is not a recurring problem and she is a human and is always very dependable hard worker with a positive attitude equals let her have a cup of coffee equals Kiki feels supported and her headache goes away equals she goes back to work happy and productive. Boats went faster, okay? Or versus the ego, right? A dependable worker is going through a difficult life circumstances and has a headache and is trying to alleviate said headache with a cup of coffee equals technically breaking a rule equals opportunity to criticize and undermine employee. Woohoo! Equals make me feel superior equals big ego. Which one won? Which one was he operating with? I wonder what the fuck we can draw from, what conclusion we can draw from that. It actually makes me laugh because it's so ridiculous. Extrapolate that times 1,000,000 and that is the workplace culture at this store. And according to Glassdoor and the Break Room, a significant number, if not majority, of other stores as well. Yes. It doesn't make any sense. I have gone home so many times with my head whirling until I learned about toxic workplace culture and the predictable signs to look out for. I just did not understand. Now it all makes sense. It is not right. It is not healthy. It is not smart. It is not lucrative. But it makes sense. 3 signs of narcissism in a leadership you should know. I'm going to skip over all this because I am fucking tired. I am going to link Dr. Ramani videos. I insist and I encourage you to read them. And if you're watching this as a YouTube, I'm going to clip them right now. Clippity clip clop. Ah! But I mean, this is kind of the heart of it. And honestly, the fact that I'm skipping it over is stupid. Fuck. Fine. You know, god damn it. They're all over the place and they're awful and they go over your boundaries and they look like they have ADD. That was one of the things too. Oh my god, literally the first thing they said was like, everybody here hates and I'm like, really? Why? Because he was so great to me, right? That was, he loved on me, and I didn't go over that, but that was part of the thing. Oh my god, that was the thing too. I said narcissism. Because in this learning, and y'all might know this already anyway, because it's been, this is the point I want to bring up them too, actually, but I cut it off, because even though this is long as fuck, I still have so much more to say. It's, oh crap. I just lost my train of thought. Okay. Dang it. Dang it. Oh, love bombing. Okay, so cults, human traffickers, child groomers, and just manipulative people in general all use the same tactics for luring, grooming, this and that, and it's crazy. So did that to me, and that's why it was so next level. I was like, holy crazy that you can like be that calculated, and for what? Like, why? Why? Just because you want to toy with somebody? Like, what the fuck? Okay, here's the important one, okay? Pollyanna, narcissistic enabler. And this used to be me too, so I'm not judging you, but it's time for us all to wake up, okay? Most dangerous when they are in decision-making, the Pollyanna zeal to find the light and love in the narcissist, they effectively turn off everybody else's. Why did I not even actually put what it was in here? That's stupid. They're often responsible for naive, ill-informed decisions based on their naive, rosy worldview and not informed by these relational patterns, and will, for example, give a predatory colleague endless second chances, re-traumatizing victims in the name of kumbaya and bringing people together. And I actually love that Ramani quote because she gets all heated and it's like, yes, thank you. You know, it's very validating. Enablers are almost as dangerous as the narcissists themselves, you know, because you make us feel worse. And me too, I make them feel worse. We all make each other feel bad. Now I need to plug in my phone. Alright, I have to get this done before this runs out. So that's good, right? Alright, so here's the highlights. Very common of clustered narcissism and leadership with different manifestations, in it solely for personal enrichment, not concerned with working smarter, not harder, and coming up with solutions. They don't believe rules apply to them. No matter how hard you work, you feel like you're not enough. Shortcomings are highlighted in detail and achievements rarely noticed. Notice for things that are toxic. It feels like an upside down universe where the things that should matter, like productivity and excellence, don't seem to. And I said, that is the quote of the century. That is what I'm like, it doesn't make sense. What is going on here? What? And then you go, oh, okay, it does make sense, right? It makes sense. It's an explanation. It's not a good one. It's a bad one. Why does Target let that happen? Why? It's not good for business. It doesn't make sense. Why would we want to be a win-win-win for everybody? Why would we want to make more money? Why would we want our employees and therefore our guests to be happy? Why would we be concerned about our brand image? Why? Oh my god, I never even finished my point about earlier. Annoying, so I'll have to splice this in together. when I get the receipts, it is my legal right to talk about my job if it is related to harassment and like toxic things. And I'm allowed via social media policy to talk about Target as long as I'm very clear that they are my opinions and they are all true statements. Check, check, check. So I get the receipts and now I'm allowed to talk about it, and they have a no retaliation policy, so you better not play. Okay. Deeply invalidating. Consider how your managers react to proposals for new ideas or projects. Avoid answering questions. They confuse, redirect attention, and avoid taking responsibility for behavior. When they can't evade behavior, they will rationalize it. They use your emotions against you. Humiliation and insults to produce feelings of worthlessness, infantilize you, and disregard your maturity. Frame insults as helpful advice. Setting a fire and then being the hero by putting it out and taking advantage of the chaos. There you go. This Target is not that hard to run, guys. The fact that they're running around with their heads cut off, like, or the fact that is gone, it's like, oh my God, how'd they do it? It's just like, it's not that hard. You're not, it's like, you're making it more difficult than it needs to be, because then you feel like heroic. It's so pathetic. Almost looks like they have ADD. ADD isn't quite as selective. Oh yeah, so when I first came in, they said, everybody hates I said, that's weird. And then I said, why? And they said, oh, I don't know. Maybe this is by the way. And then they're like, I guess he has ADD. I don't know. And then like, oh, did you get ADD again? Ha ha. Always a joke on the walkie. Isn't that interesting? I find that very interesting. I mean, all of these line up, but that one specifically, like that he has this like notorious thing about like, oh, ha ha. ADD. Okay, I'm low on battery on both, so I gotta get through this. Enjoy seeing victims in stressful situations. Ah, they're fuckers. Requiring everyone to communicate through the leader. Hello? Create alliances, foster distrust, gossip, secret meetings, people laugh off evil, and see if the narrative everyone wants to hear. Favoritism, play on your guilt. They actually work for some people because the, conveniently overlook. I'm at the good side of the, fucker or whatever. And then they're only they always need an enemy. Targets of narcissists are often those with borderline personality disorder. It's starting to get sloppy because I'm so tired. Sideways and stuff. Okay. I'm gonna get fierce and fabulous and finish this. Okay, so they're awful, okay? Said you can't trust anybody. That's true. The Aries shoulder shrug. And I was just talking about. Okay, you know what? Honestly, I'm done. There is an attached photo log. You can look at it if you want to. I encourage you all to leave your stories. I was going to detail what a great and healthy workplace should and could look like. And I think I'll do that tomorrow because I'm very tired. Love you much. Good night. Love you.